Hey, what's up, nerdies, and welcome to a Nerdy Bunch series review for Batman Caped Crusader Season 1, currently streaming on Amazon Prime. I'm your host, English Dave, and helping me clean up the city from evildoers and the corrupt while maintaining my own sanity is my co-host, Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
I'm Batman, Drew. Or BatDrew. So what's up, Dave?
Does
Or
that
Batman
does that
Dave.
make me Dave Grayson?
Dave Grayson, that actually works better. Nightwing, Night Dave.
There you go. The animated series comes from the minds behind the 90s Batman animated series, Bruce Timm, alongside producing partners J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves, who's the director of The Batman, the most recent Batman movie. This series actually was supposed to come out on HBO Max, but then they kind of said, no, we don't do it anymore. I have no idea why.
Can't believe this.
Amazon swooped in and said, we will take it, thank you very much. They reached out to Bruce Timm to do a continuation series of Batman the Animated Series, and he felt that he's already told everything he wanted to tell there. He came up with this series because he wanted to tell a Batman story, to tell certain types of stories that he couldn't tell before, because this is more adult aimed, with obviously aimed at kids, but it's more adult aimed. And he wanted to tell these kind of different types of stories with this kind of more 1940s noir setting and a slightly different take of Batman and some of its characters. Before we get into our spoiler-free segment, the synopsis is as follows. In the grim Gotham City, affluent philanthropist Bruce Wayne goes beyond his humane capabilities and transforms into an enigmatic figure, Batman. His crusade for justice brings in unexpected allies, but his actions also lead to perilous consequences. So, Andrew, I'm sure you're like me. You've probably watched all, or if not most, of the various Batman animated series. What were your expectations going into this? And spoiler-free, how did you feel after watching the season?
I was expecting probably not as much as I got, to be honest. Maybe a different flavor of Batman. I was expecting like an X-Men 97 treatment, which I think more or less they succeeded. Because spoiler-free for me, it's a grounded Batman who was experiencing Gotham and was growing, which is a thing I love. Like you said, people who've seen The Batman, the most recent movie, it's kind of for me like an animated continuation of that story, in a sense. Right? And I love to see the real tones that they brought to this. Right, like it felt like a very earthly, grounded Batman who was kind of learning the ropes. Kind of got himself roughed up once or twice, which was nice. There was a lot of detective work, and I think you could see the progression of him growing. And there are a lot of themes touching on his trauma as well, that I don't think a lot of previous Batman shows have really had the time to actually like go that deep into how this little kid who lost his parents has now started dressing up at night to beat up men and some women, depending. So yeah, I'm saying that I enjoyed it. It was a very layered show. It was definitely darker than I thought it would be. There was actually death, like numerous people that I can remember were dead, and like visibly dead, right? Like dead.
Not off-screen dead.
No. Like them dead, as they say. So that was really nice. I know one nitpick I keep seeing online is, a few of the characters had their genders or race swapped or their stories. I don't want to say, even one of the Gordons, the stories were a little bit different from original. But hey, man, in this whole comic sphere, I think everything is free game, and I did not have any issue at all with any of the things that they changed personally, right? So I don't know if you felt differently, but I loved it. I can't wait for season 2. I thought it was dark. It was like a mature, grown-up version of the show that I watched as a kid, right? And that's what I really enjoyed. It didn't just feel like I was rewatching what I saw, growing up watching the original Batman, the animated one. But it was, yeah, really good. I loved it. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
No, I agree. I enjoyed it as well. And I think it was a good decision not to make it just, the original Batman animated series, but now R-rated. Because I think it would lean too much on that nostalgia. That's its own thing. And I think this, for me, felt like, DC has something called the Elseworlds storylines where the stories are slightly different. This felt like an Elseworlds story. So you're not trying to rewrite Batman history and Batman characters. It's just another universe, because even though the tone and the aesthetics are more, and it feels more like 1940s, there's very much some things that are more modernized, in terms of some of the characters. Not necessarily like they have technology, modern tech and things like that, but it just felt like an alternate reality. right? And so I think that's what the changes worked for me because I'm like, well, okay, in this universe, these characters are going to be like this. They're slightly different. Their motivations are different, but at their core, they're still the same. They're not changed that much. And I also enjoyed it because, like you said, this is one of those narratives that focuses on Batman's early years. He's trying to figure things out. Some things don't work as how he thinks it would be. Even his motivations are different. This is not
Yeah.
Batman the hero. He's not out to be the
No,
hero. He's very much driven
whooping ass.
by revenge
So
and
funny.
exactly and his sense of his own sense of justice, right? Of how he sees justice, because justice can mean
Yeah.
different things to different people, and it's how he deals with justice. And in terms of his relationships and trying to figure out who he is he Batman, is he Bruce, where does that line kind of blur, or where does that line one end and one begin, and one of the things is even things like, I won't go into details, but even his relationship with Alfred is slightly different, and we see it in a way
Very.
that we haven't seen before. I think for the most part, his relationship with Alfred through the various iterations has been somewhat similar. This one is slightly different, but I think it works because
Yeah.
it's a young Batman trying to kind of figure himself out in this world. And I think it's really well done. And like you said, it gets dark, but not
Yeah.
just for the sake of it. It makes sense within its context. And for me, one of my favorite aspects of Batman is the great detective. And this really feels like it's focusing on the detective noir
Yeah.
aspects. Even the
Yeah.
intro music feels like this detective noir
Yeah.
kind of storytelling, and I thoroughly loved it. I thought it was really really well done.
Yeah.
If you were interested in watching the show, highly recommend it. You should watch it. Now we're going to go into our spoiler discussion.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, let's start off with I want to start off with the characters, right? The character of Batman and his relationships with other people. Firstly, his relationship with Alfred. What did you think of his relationship with Alfred?
You
Actually,
mean Pennyworth?
his relationship with Pennyworth, I should say, because he doesn't call him Alfred until the
Rude.
very end. He calls him Pennyworth. What do you think of his relationship?
I was up. I was upset at first, but after I sat down and spoke to you and thought about it, it made a lot of sense, right? Because I guess this young Bruce, he didn't really learn manners, and he did see Alfred as sort of just a staff. But I love the line from Lucius when he was leaving in, I don't know, episode 3 or 4
So,
or something, and
yeah,
he was like, yeah, like, I find that works better when I treat treat them like humans, right? Like, you should try that out, Bruce. And it's like, I guess I like that it was addressed, right? It wasn't something that was just a back burner. It was very intentional because that was his butler.
hmm
And then you realize that, oh no, was it after episode 5 or 6 when Alfred was possessed and then he thought he died and he was like, I need you, Alfred.
yeah,
I can't do this without you. I really enjoyed that, right? It showed the vulnerability of of this Batman,
hmm
right? So it's not like he's proud. It's not like he's like, I'm gonna call you Pennyworth because you are my butler. It was like, oh, I just never actually realized. My bad, bro.
hmm
I
hmm
didn't I didn't know. And then he was like, thank you, Penny. I mean, thanks, Alfred. It's
yes,
like, that's right. Good lad. So I really like that. The I guess the arc of going from young boy and butler to this is kind of my sidekick, father, helper, everything person, right?
hmm
And a noble, right? I
hmm
mean, he is
oh
from
yes,
from noble blood.
he's a nobleman.
So put some respect on that name, please.
No, I love the scene where the flashback scene of a young Bruce not long after his parents were murdered, when Bruce just
It's
opens the
amazing.
door. And usually you see, like, young Bruce, after it happened, Alfred takes him in, this father figure. No, Bruce just opens the door and is like, they're going to pay. They? All of them. I'm going to make them pay, and you're going to help me. I was like, oh,
This is kid.
oh
Like,
shit.
shall I put on some tea, Sam? Like,
Oh shit.
what do we do next? Are you going back to bed? You want some
Right?
milk?
Or even, and we can go into this as well. When Alfred just, as much as what I do like about Alfred is that Alfred also call him out on his stuff. When
Yeah,
when we see the narrative of Harvey Dent, Alfred calls him out and says, you didn't treat him like a friend.
like I know. Like, what was that?
You know,
What was that, bro?
like, what are you doing? This is supposed to be a friend. Which at first I was like, whoa, because I've known in some narratives that, Harvey and Bruce are friends. Depending on the narrative, either they were young friends or they were college friends, depending on the
Yeah,
narrative. So I was thinking, well, we don't really see them as friends. But then in watching it fully, you realize that Bruce probably stopped being friends with him before this because he became so obsessive with being Batman.
Yeah,
And Alfred
exactly.
reminds him like, this guy's your friend. He's sick. He needs help.
Yeah.
You're gonna just take him after he's just gone through this shit. Take him in public just so you can question him. For,
Like that was pretty messed up. Not gonna lie,
like, what are you
it's
doing, man?
like he literally just got his face burnt. And again, I mean, I know we're jumping, but this wasn't one of those two faces where it's like, colored makeup. Like his face was mangled, and that was not fun. I think I yelped when I saw it myself. I was like, ooh.
I honestly think
Sorry.
Harvey's story is probably one of the better arcs throughout. It's almost the through line because it's,
Yeah,
again, one of the things about I've always said about Batman and his rogues gallery for the most part is that they're almost reflections of who he could be.
exactly.
In another path in another time. And Harvey, he's not evil, but he's kind of like cocky and a bit of dickish as this person who wants to be mayor and things like that. And then you just see, I love seeing throughout the season the slow kind of journey,
Fade into blackness.
right? Right?
Yeah.
With just this kind of like how the corruption, and at first he kind of means well, and you kind of see the slow corruption with what's the
Yeah.
guy's name? Thorn.
Thorn.
Yes, with Thorn. Then one of those things where you've dug the hole so deep you don't know how to get out.
Yeah.
Kind of situation where he's trying to help, he's trying to do something, and that kind of slow descent into darkness, and then the whole acid in the face and that turn. And by the time of the end, but when he's killed, I don't know, maybe he's not dead. When he's killed, you feel so sorry for him. It's like,
Yeah.
that sucks. And you always think maybe Bruce could have helped him. Maybe Bruce could have been there for him. And I love seeing that angle of that. What villains did you like in this show? You talk about villains who are changed.
Change. I think I liked Clayface at first because it wasn't the original Clayface. I remember was a lot more like supernatural, right? This one was just kind of very grounded as well. Like it really was more of just
I
a
feel sorry
face
for him
thing,
too.
right? Right? Because it's something you said about everybody. Almost feels like Bruce if things went differently, right? Like how does your trauma guide you in your life? Do you decide to go and bench press and put on a Batman suit, or are you gonna maybe go kill your ex co-star? I mean, it's a very fine line, right, between these two things. But that was just an interesting thing to see. I think Harley Quinn was done pretty well. As for me, I enjoyed seeing her go from therapist into full on Harley, right? With her, what was it called, the playpen, where she had all those dudes underground, and then
I like that it
like,
wasn't connected to Joker.
at all, at least not yet, right? Because a lot of times they force that, but this was like, no, this is pure Harley playpen madness. And then the fact that she did come back to try and save Barbara, who was trying to save Batman, and even the idea of just so many good elements. Because I like that Batman was. I like seeing a young Batman vulnerable, right? Because the Batman that we know as of his final form is Batman can beat anyone, quote unquote, right? He has a plan for everyone. But like this Batman, now he was knocked out in there. He was he was literally about to go. If Barbara didn't save him, and if Harley didn't come back, he'd be toast, right? So I like that a lot of the villains here are. We haven't gotten to the Joker, who's psychotic completely, and like Junior Harley, but like people here actually feel bad, right? Like Joker would not come back for anyone. What are you talking
No.
about? He let them all roast.
Well, that's the thing. I was going to say, for the most part, I think outside of someone like Penguin, which will go into that, most of the villains, they're not trying. Again, like Batman, it's not necessarily that they're villains, right?
Yeah.
It's that they're going after the people who have done wrong things. The people they
Done
go
something
after,
to them.
they're the real villains, right? Look at the people that Harley goes after. They're these rich people who are
Yeah,
just
doing
greedy, things
rubbish.
like that. And then even with Clayface, this actor who everyone made fun of him because he's got this look to his disfigurement and things like that, and he's just trying to make himself look better to fit in so he can actually get these roles and things like that. And the people that he goes after, people in some sense you can say, from his point of view, deserve it, right?
Yeah.
They're not sympathetic people, so to speak.
No,
The
not at
people
all.
that they go after. Same with Harley, with Harley, and I love that because then outside of those moments, like especially with Harley, outside of her being Harley when she's Harleen Quinzel, she's actually a good person. She's a nice person,
Okay, she's helping people. Yeah.
right? She's helped people. She pretty much figures out Bruce.
So well. Like
I love that when she just makes.
yeah.
Oh, are you going through the motions, acting like how everyone expects you to be? maybe one day you can unpack some of that childhood trauma. She doesn't figure out she's Batman, but she figures out that there's
Yes.
something there.
I mean,
He's
give her
hiding,
give her 3 sessions. I feel like she figures it out.
right?
Like,
I was like, oh, she's a good therapist. I did like the reason why Bruce had to go to therapy. It made sense. Again, I love seeing that moment of him breaking, where the reporter's just talking shit about his mum.
yep.
Why would you wear those pearls down crack? Like,
Like,
I'm sorry, I would punch you too.
excuse me. Like, there's no way you just said that.
I would
No
punch
way.
you too.
But it's realistic, right?
Yeah,
Because somebody would run their mouth and say something stupid like that.
yeah, because he's a rich person, so they think, oh,
Hmm.
I can say some nonsense. Or even characters like Firebug, right? As much as he did,
He was sad too in a way,
so
right?
because
Like like
he was sick. This is a guy who was mentally ill, and he
and you guys brought him out of jail first of all. Like completely set him up. Like, oh
right.
wow, the trunk is open.
Oh no,
Oh.
completely set him. And even like the visual of when he puts the goggles on, you see the fire.
That was pretty cool. I don't think I've seen that
No,
level of me connecting with somebody's psychosis. Is
hmm
that even the word?
hmm
And it almost for once made me kind of understand why Arkham is such a thing in this Batman world,
hmm
right? Like there are people who are actually really needing of help.
yeah,
Like forget laughing gas induced patients. Some people are actually thinking that everybody is a little fire child,
hmm
fire sprite, and needs to be set ablaze. But I know they're not actors, but really good portrayal by Firebug.
I loved
R.I.P.
it.
I mean, yeah, he did really well. Just even like he gave up, but no, it was it was so set up. It was almost unfair.
They just killed him like that. You talk about Arkham. I even like this visual of Arkham. It looks like a hospital,
And it
right?
does.
Instead of
The
just a
white.
prison. Usually it looks like a prison, a mental asylum or prison, things like that. And it's
I know,
just
but I wonder if that means I wonder if it like it deteriorates in this world
true,
or it stays like
true.
I don't know. Both are interesting to me
hmm
though. Like
hmm Like it started off as this one thing, and then
yeah,
over
they were
time,
trying to help, and then the Joker appeared,
mhm.
and
and
and he's been here 10 times.
and then you get introduced to a female version, gender swap version of Penguin, which at first I was like, oh, this is different, but
Yeah,
I kind of liked it. I think it worked. I don't think it took away from who the Penguin is, and in some cases, I think some instances, and not every instances, but some instances, the Penguin is either portrayed as a joke or just a lackey.
yeah,
Even in the Batman, right, with Colin Farrell, he's getting his own series, but it starts off he's not like the number one. He's kind of there, but he's not like
yeah,
the number one. But I think
yeah.
this Penguin, you're like, oh shit, you
She's the head HBIC.
like she killed her own son. Zero fucks.
And didn't care about it. I think that was the key for me. Like she
No,
was like, "Oh, wrong son."
the wrong son.
Okay, okay.
Like
So, like,
what?
what's your point?
I was like, damn, that sequence, and then
Okay.
you think it's just a one-off thing or just a one-off moment, and then the sequence where Batman's going under the water, you see
The submarine,
all the
like
boxes.
30 bodies or like
It's like,
what 100?
oh,
I don't know.
oh shit.
That's why I was like, yeah, I had to rewind. Like, wait, oh, this is not a. They're not playing around.
No,
And also, just again, shout out Batman flexing with the sub.
I loved it. But even stuff like the sub and the Batmobile, they did a good job of making it cool without making it overly futuristic for its time. It still fit within its time frame.
Yeah,
Right, the aesthetic and the look of it. It didn't feel like it stood out from the
like
1940s.
the OG Batmobile
Yeah.
did not make any sense. It was so long. It's just I never and I like that this one has that aesthetic, but makes sense, right? Like I could see this being driven on the streets,
Mhm.
whereas the first one was just like, nah, I mean,
And it kind of growls when when the engine kicks in. And I like that Catwoman was like, oh, I need one of those. So she has
yep,
her.
and she did she did indeed get that. I don't know if you mentioned her. She
No, we
was
haven't.
refreshing and nice as well.
I liked her character because again, if we're talking about different versions of Bruce, she's that version of her motivation is the fact that, oh shit, I had money, I don't have any money.
Yeah,
That's kind of like
yeah.
her motivation. I love that her butler lady was just like,
But they robbed her. Well,
she's
not
like,
robbed her.
you
To be
haven't
fair,
paid me.
just yeah. She didn't really rob her, right? She just took
Took her money.
her took what she was owed.
Yep. And just left. I was like,
And
out.
she went on a cruise. Yeah, I remember she left on a cruise at the end.
Greta. That was her name. Greta. I felt like Catwoman didn't get it properly because she didn't do a good job of keeping her identity. Because everybody knew Selena Kyle was Catwoman.
Yeah,
So even when you escape, you can't just have a normal life. you know, you still have to.
like Harley, right? Like,
Right,
oh no,
right.
ma'am, we know it's you. But I think I guess that's what makes the Gotham verse and world so interesting, right? Because I often wonder, even coming from where I come from, sometimes like, oh, why would somebody ever stay here? But it's always more complicated than you think.
Hmm.
It's not just you're not just gonna up and leave, and it's always like it's like a very gray area,
Hmm.
right? There are people on the run, but then even the people that are police are also corrupt. So
Hmm.
like, wait, who's the good one?
Hmm.
And you can't really keep track. But like, if I'm getting paid, I'm getting paid, so I'm staying here. So I just love that everybody is kind of like morally. What did Thorne say? Like, there's everybody has like a moral slider.
Hmm.
Every man has a moral slider or something. I think he said that to Harvey at some point, and
Hmm.
I very much feel that in this show,
Yes,
especially.
yes, and let's go into that. You touched on that. I think one of the key characters in any Batman story is Gotham City itself. Right, this city that kind of like was once this great city, and how
Yeah,
that decline. It had everything, had great factories, had work and everything like that. But because the people in power became corrupt and only thought about themselves, they just let the city fall into ruin. And the rich are still rich, but there's no middle class anymore.
exactly.
you know and then you understand why people like Thorn can start taking advantage of it. I like the idea that as soon as Penguin is out of the way, Thorn now comes in. All these characters start taking advantage for themselves. Nobody actually
Yeah,
cares about the city itself, even down to the
no.
police and everything like that. What do you think of the portrayal of Gotham?
Yes, like I said, I see elements that remind me of places I've lived, Lagos, Nigeria, and New York, even London to a certain degree, because the idea just remained that if you don't account for that middle class and you continue to widen that gap, you're going to end up with more violence, but also more people making extreme amounts of money. And so it's like it's not a real reflection of the city's capabilities, because some people are just kept down and some are literally at the top. And what happens in the middle? And Batman is here, literally just beating up dudes every night. Sorry, it's so funny. He really beat up people this show, which I love. But I just love that he's like Robin Hood, and a villain. Sorry, that we didn't mention is this reverse Robin Hood. What was his name? Ghost. This ghost dude.
Oh,
Oh
Gentleman
my god.
Ghost.
Gentleman Ghost, yeah, sorry. Just a nice random addition because it was so funny. He's like, no, I will rob from you. You poor person. And Harvey's like, take my money. And he's like, no, no. I will not take from a proper gentleman. Like, come on, I don't rob the rich. What are you talking about? And that happened. You actually see that. You see that a lot if you look deeply in the real world. There are cases where like the poor are just kept down and the rich are like, no, 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 we'll tax you less.
Yes, yes, exactly.
You have a lot of money. Why would I tax you? That doesn't make any sense. But you little guy, and so I love that. I think I feel like that's why they added Gentleman Ghost, just to kind of emphasize the idea of what Gotham can feel like sometimes, right? Where like the little guy keeps getting stepped on, right? Keeps getting burned by firebug, or just being in the
Losing their homes,
crossfire
losing their
randomly,
jobs.
losing their homes for no reason. But the thorns or the whatever, they keep either if they end up in jail, they come out, or like they don't really, unless they die, they kind of stay within the realms of success, right? And I think that's also what makes Batman's story so interesting, is that he's fighting like a systematic corruption thing, but then the idea that he learns, I think we see Batman later on, they always learn that, yeah, you get rid of one boss, another one shows up,
Hmm.
right? Or like in other things where whenever you get rid of what's the name, Kingpin,
Yeah.
in any Spider-Man verse, it's always going to be worse because Kingpin is controlling everybody else. And so I just love to see that in this Gotham, right? That, like you said, Penguin was gone, then Thorn appears, and then Harvey's there, and then Harvey's gone, and Harvey was good, but then Gordon is trying to be a good commissioner, but then
He
he
has no
has
power
Flass and
either.
Bullock, right? Exactly, because the mayor is keeping him down, even though he's a figurehead,
Right.
and it's so much more complicated than sometimes it seems from the outside. But like I said, I think because I've lived in very populous metropolitan cities, I see how it's so close to reality.
And then even seeing that, this kind of the rich people have like it's generational wealth, right? It's not even like new rich. It's either generational wealth or criminal wealth. That
Literally.
that's where it comes from, or mix of both. All right, that's the Gentleman Ghost episode where he felt like our family's had this for hundreds of years, kind of
Like,
thing.
what is democracy?
That kind of thing,
Like,
and even like I feel like this narrative is also opening the eyes to we're going to see Bruce's eyes more open to that, because I think he's still slightly blind to that. He just sees corrupt, but he doesn't
Yeah.
see the full depth of it because he also comes from money, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like partly him starting to see and understand, like, oh shit, this is what's been happening. This is what I've been ignorant as well. Because there's one
Yeah.
thing stopping bad guys, but it's like it goes deeper than that. It's like you said, it's institutionalized. It's a deeper thing, and him realizing that wow, this is a lot bigger and deeper than I thought. You know, it's one thing saying the police are corrupt, but where does it end? You can't just fire people because it goes deep, it goes high, you know, straight to the top. You know,
Yeah.
you get people like you really only understand that maybe it's just the police, just Jim and Montoya are
Montoya.
the only ones. You know, everybody else is corrupt, and that's normalized. It's not even like they don't even feel like they've been corrupt. It's just this is how it works, kind of attitude. This is how it's always been. Why would we change this? I did love that portrayal, and I think it just makes me excited to see where it goes into season 2, going deeper into that, and Bruce slash Batman slowly reflecting on this idea that how am I effective? How can I be effective? You know, just going out and punching people isn't going to change anything. Like you said, you kill one person or stop one person, it just creates a vacuum for someone else to fill.
Yeah.
That's all that does. Let's talk about some of the other characters. We have some.
On that, oh, did you have one in mind? Because I
No,
just thought of Barbara
I was literally
when you
going
were
to go to
talking
Barbara.
now.
I was going to go with Barbara.
That's so funny.
You know, this is a different portrayal of her. She's more. I think she's a district attorney or something like that.
Dick Attorney, yep.
You know, and so her motivations are very different. She isn't about catching criminals. She's about helping reform them, which clashes with her father, who's just
I
like,
love that.
we should catch them.
That was so good.
What did you think?
That was so good. The scene where that whole episode, I think it was the episode that he was trying to be assassinated, right?
I love the
one where
flip on it.
at the beginning. Yeah, she just came and it's like she's trying to get people out and he's trying to put people in, and she's like, people make mistakes, and he's like, no, sorry. He said, oh, police can make mistakes, and she's like, oh, but civilians can't make mistakes, and it's a very very deep theme, and that's the reason why I like what they did. Because I think it's interesting for us to see how is Gordon, normalizing the fact that his own daughter is basically working to undo some of the works of his department, right? Essentially, but I think he even said, but these guys are good cops, but they made a mistake. So it's like it's such a gray area because so if a good cop making a mistake, isn't that still wrong? Like, is it because? But I guess it's because he knows that there's so many bad cops that he's trying to save the good cops. But she's like, I don't what. So, anyways, long story short, I really enjoyed this Barbara. She was kicking butt even without any formal training. There's even a scene, I think in the same episode, where he was like, do you have your 32? And she was like, yeah, of course. Like,
I'm still the daughter of the commissioner.
Like, what do you think? Like, what do you think? She was ready to go, man.
I love the twist.
For her life.
I did love the twist that the assassin is coming after her, not him.
It's like I'm looking for Gordon,
Exactly.
not him.
Exactly. You assume it's him, and it's like, no, it's going after her.
And they never said his name,
No.
to be fair. And they were together from the beginning of the episode when the assassin came. So I thought that was a really nice touch as well.
I really enjoy that, and I like the fact that, like you said, they're both coming from opposite ends. She's trying to reform, he's trying to put people away, but in part, they both learn through Batman this middle ground, right? Where she learns, there's some people that are too far gone, and they don't want to. They don't want help. There's one thing of helping someone who wants help. There's some people who don't want the help, and then he's just learning that, as much as he thinks that there's some bad apples, like no, they're all bad apples.
All
Your
pretty
police
bad.
force is completely corrupt. It's not just some of them. We see that through Bullock and Floss. The two characters, and even their kind of arc throughout the whole thing. It was interesting because usually, and I think in the original animated series, the character of Bullock
Bullock is good.
he's not he's got rough edges,
Yeah,
but
okay,
ultimately he'll do good. He's got rough
fair.
edges. But
Even in Gotham, if you ever watch Gotham,
Yes, yes.
I really like the Bullock there.
Yes.
He kind of portrayed that perfectly.
Yes.
Like I don't, I'm gonna be a good cop, but like once in a while,
Yeah.
I grease my pockets. but
Exactly.
Nothing more than like for a pizza or coffee.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Whereas this
gonna
one is
kill a child.
straight up, nope, you're bad.
Yeah.
But he doesn't realize that he's the lackey when they're just like, you're the one that's always doing the dirty work, and he
I was
realizes
enjoying
like,
that. Yeah.
whatever, that's my job. I'll kind of
Yeah.
go with it. I'll go with it. I don't care. No, and going back to the Gentleman Ghost aspect of things, what I like about that episode is that sometimes we forget when we watch certain Batman narratives. You forget that Batman's world is in the world where Green Lantern exists, where the Flash exists, Superman exists, Dead Man exists. You have you have supernatural aliens, gods
Yeah,
exist.
yeah, like,
But this is almost the beginnings of that. And I love the Gentleman Does Ghost aspect because it almost sets up as if Batman's going to figure out, like, Scooby Doo style. Aha!
honestly, I was 50% there. If not that I know, right, the characters, I was like, yeah, I could see him being like, I'm gonna unmask you, I'm gonna unmask you, and
Right.
then I think it disappeared behind the wall, and he was like,
What the
hmm.
heck?
He was like, so Alfred, humor me this. If I'm just saying, if you happen to be correct, help me.
Right. And the episode ends with realizing this is real. Supernatural is real. That was actually a ghost. That was not some
like,
kind of fake.
like you burned paper, the ghost burned. It entered Alfred. You saw Alfred try to kill you. You shot the paper, and then the ghost saw. Okay, he's like, all right, you got me. I believe. I
And
believe.
he had Puppet Midnight come over and just like, I'll take it. And I'm
He's
sure
like, yeah,
that's
can I get that?
I'm sure that's setting up for the future because he knows a secret that Alfred knows. What is Alfred's secret? I don't know.
Yeah.
In my head, and again, because I'm trying to think, it's either two things. One, which is a narrative we've seen in some Batman stories where it's like, the Wayne family isn't as good as you thought they were.
Yeah.
Or two, I'm your father.
Like, look.
Those are my two things. Was like, what secret is Alfred keeping from Bruce that would like hurt him so much? Because
Yeah.
and I think it's one of those two. I think it's probably leaning towards the fact that the Wayne family, maybe not the Wayne dad or Wayne mom, but the Wayne family, because it's an old family. Always maybe they didn't get their fortune through good things.
Yeah, maybe.
Because why are they the one good family? Rich family in all of Gotham.
In all of Gotham, by the way, everybody else is bad except for yours.
Except for your family. And I do like the idea that maybe the Waynes, the money was gone through ill gains, but maybe the dad was the one that was starting to kind of, we have to redeem
To
ourselves,
turn it around, yeah.
and that's probably why they were killed for that.
Yeah.
Things like that I could see happening.
I'm curious. Yeah, I'm very curious.
I'm very, very, very curious of this. I did like seeing the moment where you realize that Jim is starting to trust Batman when they save the kids in the flames and in the fire.
Yeah, I was holding two kids.
Yeah, it's like, get away from here. I'd have to arrest you if we're caught. I like that. I thought that was really, really well done. Let's talk about standout moments. In the episode with Clayface, seeing the producer electrocuted to death. I was like, what the heck?
yeah, right.
I was like, whoa.
It's kind of a surprise. Like,
What?
if just a few things like that, where you're like, "Yo, this show is not playing."
No. They were like, oh shit, that is crazy. Who else? Oh, did you catch on we get pretty much all the Robins, but they're not called Robin.
Yeah.
In this, all the
I
kids.
honestly missed the first time until you told me. I went back to rewatch. And yeah, I enjoy. I know I caught Dick Grayson and Jason Todd for sure.
And we get Steffi and Kerry as well. I thought that was really cool to see those characters all brought in. I like the character of Onomatopoeia. It's not named.
And with Mr. Bullseye.
Yeah, and just the way he talks, bang, slash. The way he's talking.
I always found, I know I had read about him in lore once upon a time, and I just found him funny. So to see him, I was like,
Right.
I know that dude. But yeah, I find that so funny, like kapow.
Right.
I'd love to see more of him. I'd love to see him every season. If there's an episode with him, I'd very much be there for that.
And one of the few characters that can actually go toe to toe with Batman.
I like how you're just watching it. Like he looks like he almost like in a Taskmaster
Yes.
sense. He's just kind of watching Batman, like, okay,
yes,
right, like,
yes.
Well, fair enough. All right, cool.
I like the character of Nocturne, Natalie Knight. The young girl.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday Addams.
Wednesday Addams style, and just like where she kills her
100%.
brother. I was like, dang. There's that kind of sympathy.
She's actually crazy, man. She's gaslighting him. She was like, oh, just one more. And then she did one more. And she's like, calm down. And she killed him. And then Batman's like, you killed your brother. And she's like, oh, wait, I killed my brother.
He's like, no, he's going to forgive me like he always does. I like that because I take it advantage.
Like, what?
It's like, no, he is dead. Sorry to break that bubble, but he is dead.
Not sorry.
We get a look at a blink and you miss at Killer Croc at the circus.
beat Bruce's ass.
Beat it. See, I'm curious with
They
that,
were
right?
whooping him though. I was a little. Listen, I wouldn't take
But that's the thing. I was gonna
that.
say, did Bruce allow himself to get beaten up?
He,
Because
he did
you know,
because he. I mean, we know he did, but I'm just saying I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take that. Right? I'm not saying Killer Croc can't beat this young Bruce, but it would have been more of a fight. At least he'd have beaten everybody else, and
yes,
Croc would have whooped him. Right? Like
yes,
he
yes.
didn't. Bro, they even like pulled his jacket down. His arms are in. I was like, wow, Bruce, you're a better man than me. That's the
Right.
day my secret would have been out. Right there and then, I would not take that from those clowns.
Like what?
Yeah. Anyways, shout out to Bruce for the restraint.
All
I
right,
guess.
that was a lot of restraint, and I like seeing him with like you start understanding the way he cares for his kids. It's almost cementing, planting the seeds for Bruce. You know, for someone who works alone, he has
Yeah,
the most like sidekicks of any superhero. You know, and he has
I
this
was
kind of
thinking about that
he has this
actually.
thing to kind of I need to take care of these kids, these orphans. You know, plus he
Yeah,
was an orphan himself, so you almost kind of start seeing the seeds of that. That was interesting to see that they're all together at the same time. So it's like, which one does he pick first?
yeah. I guess you just go by age. I
Right.
mean, Jedi style,
Yeah.
as you know.
Or you
Just
get Jason first because he has to get killed by the Joker.
so get that out of the way quick. Maybe yeah. There's so much they can do. I like the foundation.
Speaking of Joker, the end tease. What did you think?
His voice was nice. His
Loved
voice
it.
was. I don't know who the actor was, but I was like,
Scary.
I was like, they're not playing.
There was a
This
there's
is
a bass
no
to it.
haha Joker. Yep,
Yeah,
this is no haha Joker.
there was that bass. I was like, ooh, okay. Where's this going? I thought that was a nice.
And the laughing gas. And I think they teased him earlier because there was a newspaper article that said Carnival coming or something.
Mhm.
I don't know. It might not even be connected, but anytime I see anything Carnival related, which is also a nice touch because Dick Grayson was so excited about the Carnival, right? Or the circus. Dick is my favorite, by the way. I mean,
Oh,
that sounds so strange, but let's more say Mr. Grayson is my favorite.
it is one of my
Robin,
favorite
just because.
DC characters. Period.
Yeah, I agree. Like Nightwing, I mean, yeah, I definitely would cosplay Nightwing. But yeah, Joker was scary, and I like that this Harley has escaped and Joker is out, so we know that link up is coming. But like they've set the tone by giving Harley some legs already, right? So
Yes.
it doesn't just feel like she's gonna be a Joker lackey. Like no, she was her own thing, and they're just gonna become that crazy power couple.
I wish we had more time to see Harley's kind of descent.
I thought that too. Like I almost would have done it at the end of the season.
You know, kind of like
I,
we see
I know they were
Harvey.
ending with Harvey.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it would have been nice if every episode was kind of like, yeah. I thought that too. Just like more breadcrumbs, less of like, damn, here she is, bam, go.
Like it's almost like she's already been Harley Quinn before the season started,
Yeah.
right? Because then she has all those people locked up and things like that, which found hilarious. You know, the way she locks them up and has them, whatever their crime or their thing was, she has them doing that.
She hasn't like it was like role play.
Yeah, exactly.
Role play your crime.
Right, taking away their power and things like that, which I did like. But I wish we saw what led to that. You know, what has she tried to do before to try and fix that? You know, in her mind, would she have to try and take Bruce down that path? You know, as well. You know, what did she really think of Bruce? I think it would have been interesting to see that. I like that Bruce has a phone number, kind of homage to the Batman TV show with a bat phone, you know, and things like that. The barber makes fun of the fact that it's like, oh, I thought you were going to give me some signal light or something like that, making fun of the bat signal.
Zoing, zing.
Yet, but for now,
He's probably like, good idea. Write that down.
right.
Thank you, Barbara.
But I think by the end of the season, though, I did like that you're starting to see Batman go down that path of realizing that
I need people.
not just I need people, which is true because he starts building a team of people, right? Even with like Renee Montoya, people that he can trust, kind of vetting them out.
Barbara.
You know, Jim Gordon, Barbara Gordon.
Barbara.
You know, he's fixing his relationship with
Alfred.
maybe even Lucius, because you know Lucius doesn't quite know, but Lucius is like your discretionary fund. What is that money? Where's that money going to? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he's like, don't worry, but please don't ask questions.
That's extra money, but I also like the fact that you know he realizing that if I just take them out, someone else fills that gap. The end with Thorn, right? Like letting Thorn know I could
That was one
kill
of the
you.
hardest like ends ever.
I could kill you. I just want you to
Literally
know.
just nicked him.
I want you to know that I could take you out anytime.
Definition of sleep with one eye open.
Right, right.
Just
I
because.
love that. It's like, I know what you're doing. I can't prove what you're doing, but I'll get you one of these days. I could kill
Oh, but
you,
I will.
but that's too easy to kill you. I'm not gonna do that. And we get the iconic, standing on top of the building, lightning flash, Batman standing on top of the
Man
building.
in tights.
Love that. I loved seeing that. I thought that was really, really great because I think again we're seeing that slow. I think next season we're gonna see Bruce kind of take a different approach to how can I kind of fix this, and maybe even realizing that okay, I can utilize the law, right? Instead of running away from the law. Speaking of
Yeah.
which, that episode where they tried to catch Batman, what do you think? I thought that was a great episode. This is like we're gonna create a Batman task force to
Oh
catch
yeah,
him.
the whole task force. I was watching my wife, and I was like, "This is a waste of resources." Like, and they're literally just like,
You
because
suck.
not just that. I was like, even Batman, like, bro, take it easy. Like, he didn't let them catch a break. I thought maybe like lay low or something. He was like, I mean, I don't care. I'm gonna drive through your stupid blockade. Like, bothers me not. You silly guys. And but yeah, for it to, I felt Gordon's frustration, how everything just ended up with Floss and Bullock then leading the task force,
Oh,
and him just feeling like, imagine everything he did. His own commander was like, "Oh, you did good too. You saved some kids." Like,
right. And he's even saying to
well
Bullock
done.
and Floss, like, I know what you did in terms of Firebug. And they're like, yes, so I think you're
Yeah,
expecting a phone
they're
call.
like,
And they're like, they're in
I
charge.
picked that up if I was you. Like,
I was like,
I
man.
enjoyed seeing that though. I mean, it's not. It sucks for Gordon, but it's fun to sometimes see the way the corrupt cops work within the system of like. I mean, at the end of the day, he killed Firebug, who was a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody was there crying milk over it. Nobody is there trying to ask, oh, was there due process? Because
Mm-hmm.
criminal, right? And I think that's another thing that they explore a lot. Like, what is a criminal?
Mm-hmm.
All crimes are not created equal, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are people who have mental conditions who, yeah, I'm sorry, like, should not be in the same place as somebody who just actually committed murder. But then there's a Joker who's like a little bit of both. So interesting. And
And
it's just funny that Batman, because it's Batman's fault. Because I would not have let that reporter release that tape of me whooping the cops. I was like, bro,
right.
come on, just
He's like, I don't care. Just
can you not?
but
Like,
again,
literally just done.
but I think that plays into his ignorance, right? He just thinks. I think part of his ignorance is not realizing how corrupt Gotham really is, to the point where I think some people who might have been good, just like this is how things are. This is what we have to do. This is how.
Yeah.
I don't think people are necessarily being corrupt for the sake of being corrupt. It's just like this is how things are. This is what we do.
In
This is
Gotham,
this is
yeah.
normal. There's even one line when they go to one of the prisons where some police is like, "Oh, a prisoner died. An inmate died because of being internal bleeding, being
Yeah,
beaten up," and it's like, eh.
he owed me $50.
Like, they die all the time. It doesn't matter. And so it really highlights when Barbara's like, we need to treat these people better. They're human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is wrong with you guys? Even the fact that the other guy, one of the fellow police officers, turns on Barbara. When he's like, which I thought like, oh shit. When
He's
he
like, yo, I mean, he's like, I wasn't going to, and then they doubled the money,
right,
and
right.
then I mean,
I'm just like,
I mean,
I've got to live. I gotta make sense. I gotta.
but oh, sorry, I just have to call one thing out there, nitpick, because I hate plot armor, and it's something little because he was like, I'm gonna shoot you and make it look like a mistake, and if you literally count, he waited 5 seconds. It's almost like he was like,
Someone told me.
anytime now, like so. Just a random nitpick.
Mhm.
I wish they would just time things up, just to feel more natural
Mhm.
in moments like that. I hate when shows do that. Where I'm like, "Look, just shoot her, bro. Like, if you're gonna do it, don't talk."
Fun little cameo. The guy that at the court steps that tries to kill Gordon, we think it was Jim, tries to shoot him. His name is Floyd Lawton, aka Deadshot. At least he's not Deadshot right now, but
Oh,
yeah,
really?
that's
Yeah,
Deadshot
true. I
from
do know.
who was famously played by Will Smith in the Suicide Squad movies. Yeah, so I thought it was like, and I like those moments where
Sure.
little touches kind of show the world, but you're not really going into it. In fact, I don't know if this is confirmed, but people on the internet have been seeing like there's a reporter. We see a reporter in the background who looks a lot like Lois Lane from
Really,
the Superman animated series, the
that
art style,
that would be nice.
nice little touch and things like that. I thought,
A nice nod to that.
right. I thought that was really nice touch. Is there anything else to talk about?
A scene that I mean, for me, probably the most powerful scene of the entire show was Batman holding the gun, right? Him
Yes.
holding the gun at Flask and just being like, pa, 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 pa. Like, I got the skills, y'all. I could, right? But I don't
Yeah.
want. And before he throws the gun, like his face just looks so angry.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just the same theme of the trauma. Him dealing like gun. A gun is probably his biggest trigger.
Of course.
Pun intended, by the way. And just seeing that portrayed, seeing him not shoot flash, just everything in that scene, it just felt so good. And I also liked that scene was similar to the Dark Knight with Dent being shot and on the floor, like the illusion of I love it. Like you said, I've watched everything Batman. I think I love every single Batman thing out there in existence, and it just feels like a show that combines it all, but showing us the beginnings and origins of the Batman, right? So yeah, that gun scene one for me.
And I think that serves to showcase one thing I've always said about Batman is that the the difference between Batman and the criminals, especially the larger than life criminals he goes after, is a very thin line.
It's quite smart.
Very thin line.
It's Alfred.
And his superpower is beginning to realize that, right? It's when he realizes that if I cross that line, I will be the greatest villain ever. Not just I'll be a villain, I will be the greatest villain. Like he would be the greatest.
I would do such bad.
The things that he would do if he just crosses, which is also why I like, this is more personal. This is why I like his relationship with Joker, because Joker's just like, cross the line, hit me, come on. Even the scene in The Dark Knight when he's interrogating him, just punch him in the face. Joker's just laughing, like, all you can do is hit me. If you really want to stop me, you have to kill me. But once you kill him, you've crossed that line. And I love that, because I think this show kind of reminds me of that Batman who's just like has to constantly be aware of self and realizing again through people like Alfred that there are times where I'm going down that slippery slope. And even things we mentioned off podcast, even moments where even when there's no one around except for Alfred, he uses the Batman voice, not the Bruce voice. Which highlights the fact that many people have always said Batman is the character, Bruce is the alternate character.
There you go.
And things like that. And I love that this kind of highlights and plays in that realm of psychology of Batman, and that's why he's one of my favorite characters. A lot of people like Batman because he's dark and badass. For me, no, it's because there's a lot of psychology there. This is a man who's broken, and he's trying his way to kind of not necessarily fix it, but to kind of deal with and use it,
piece it together,
right. Like, almost like weaponize it in a way to kind of make it work for him, right? Because if he wanted healing, he could be healed, and he could get therapy. He has the money for it, but that's not what he's seeking. And one thing I've always found interesting, you get a lot of. I saw one the other day. A lot of people who don't read Batman comics or have experienced Batman narratives, they always say the same thing, and they think they're being smart. Like, if Batman really wants to clean up Gotham, he can use all his money to fix things. He's a billionaire, blah, 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 blah. And realizing that, well, one, yes, that's kind of true, but not understanding that the narrative itself has explored that the corruption of Gotham won't allow that.
Exactly.
Like, Gotham is not going to just get fixed because some rich person said, here's some money to fix it.
Because he's rich, but he even may be the richest, but he's not the only richest. Right,
exactly. Like, there's people who are opposed to it.
And somewhere far away is Ra's al Ghul, probably planning everything, right? Like,
exactly. There's people who are actually trying to fight that. If people, again, it's hinted at in many storylines, that's why the Waynes were killed, because they were trying to fix things. And they were killed for it. It's not as easy as just throwing money at it. The city of Gotham's fall is a lot more complicated than people realize. So I always find it interesting people say that, like, why don't you just throw money into it? He would be more effective as a billionaire than as Batman. It's like, he's tried that. He does try that. It doesn't necessarily work. It's not that easy.
And that, again, something you mentioned, and I love Batman because he's trying to force the system to work almost, right? It's like, I'm not just going to kill all the villains and throw them away. No. I'm going to keep sending them to jail. I'm going to keep sending them through the due process. I'll just bust them up on the way. They'll break your leg so you stay in a little longer. But, like, he's trying to make the system and the public, jury system and justice, everything work the way it's supposed to. And that's why I really like that. He's using these, nighttime means to make the daytime actually flourish.
And slowly he becomes that person that, okay, I got to help the people who are good, be able to do their job like Barbara, and things like that, and make sure something like Harvey doesn't happen again. This person who could have been a good person, it's almost Harvey's almost that kind of that crossroads. Could have gone one way, but because of my inaction, he went down another way. instead. You know,
But to the end, he was good-ish.
yeah,
Like even at the end, he did a great thing in taking, like, Barbara could have died, and I'd be like, oh, sorry,
his
but
redemption. I did
so
like
there was still good in him. So I think that's why Batman still also holds out that fine. There can be good in anyone, even to the dying
they
moment.
can
Ugh.
be good in anyone. They can be bad in anyone. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has those two potentials to be either.
Really, just like the Jedi and Sith.
Yeah.
Here we are. Here we are again. These
Here's
same
a little
themes.
plug for the Acolyte. Check that out, the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Before you go, what are your hopes or assumptions for the future? It's
Has
already
this
been
been
greenlit for
renewed?
season 2.
Okay.
They have a
Yeah, I
season
was
2.
about to ask, but
Yes,
good.
it was given a season 2 before season 1 came out, so that's always good.
Great. I mean, if I had my way, this show would go on for like 8 seasons.
Of course.
And in every season, we see him become more accustomed to the supernatural, to the, outside of Earth, the powers, like, maybe next season, maybe, so we'll get Superman by like season 6, but like, maybe get like a Green Lantern next one. I want to see a lot more of his villain arsenal. Just everyone. I like the direction that they've taken it, so I give them free reign to twist and turn. I don't know why I've been I've been like foreseeing Poison Ivy. I can't tell you why.
There was a hint
I, I,
of Ivy. There was a little clue in a
okay,
newspaper article about some plant.
maybe that's why.
Yeah.
And I've always I don't know why I like Ivy as a character. I think she'd be fun. I see a Dr. Freeze.
Yes, I could see. I love
Mr.
Dr. Freeze.
Freeze, Mr. Freeze, whatever.
Well, Mr. Freeze.
Mr.
I also
Yeah.
like I like his sympathetic story with his wife. And
Oh,
things like
the
that.
Arnold, the movie with Arnold was actually a good movie. Sorry, and maybe we may not love it, but I don't know. I enjoyed Arnold's portrayal because I do like Mr. Freeze as a tragic story, which is kind of the theme of most of Batman's villains, right?
Yeah.
So I think he would fit right into this world. And a lot more. Yeah, we have to start. They've teased the Robin, so obviously we have to work them in.
Though I could see Barbara becoming Batgirl before we see a Robin.
Yeah, I mean she's already on route,
Yeah.
right? She's kick ass. She's just like she's all about it. She's smart. She's witty. She also has like the detective thing going. So yeah, I really hope they don't feel. I hope they honestly don't feel restricted by what's come before. And by that I mean like listen, it's a new IP. It's a new IP of the same characters, but like go wild. Do whatever you want. Like. Make Barbara Robin if you want. Heck, I don't know. Like, people would be upset maybe, but if you do it well, they won't be. And like again, the foundations have been strong. I think more fighting as well. I like to see more. I mean, other than Joker, more like Slade Wilson's or like Bane's, like more people who like actually, yeah, like physically gonna push this dude because he's been, like I said, he's beat up a lot of dudes, but like I want to see him now go up. I'm gonna Ra's al Ghul, Bane, Slade Wilson. I see those three in a foreseeable future, but other than that, free reign, dark side,
and even you can even go back, right? See how he became Batman in terms of the training. Is he that Batman that traveled the world? To learn his different training with various types of people, or is he yet to do that?
Yet to do that, yeah. Is he going to be pushed to? Is he going to be beaten up by Bane and have to go there? Yeah, so I agree with that, because I have been curious as to from when he went to Alfred's room as a child and said, "Okay, I'm going to kill them all," to to now, what were the steps? All right, like just curious. What did you start doing push-ups every day? Did you go away to camp, or how did you back that up?
And in a good way, but I'd like to see the kind of evolution. This is the Batman that doesn't really have gadgets like that. He had the grappling hook and stuff, but he doesn't really have a whole bunch of gadgets. And I want to see, do we see the build-up of that, the utility belt? Do we see that grow?
I hope so. Like every season, I feel like you should get like 2 new gadgets that because I don't know if there's so many Batman things that are crossing my head, but I feel like in some of them you see the gadgets being made to tackle a problem, right? So it's like everything that he makes is because like Poison Ivy comes and he has to create a freeze pellet to freeze all her branches, or like Mr. Freeze comes and he has to create an anti-warming hand vacuum type of thing, and each of those things then becomes his toolkit. I would really like if we get that progressive build up.
Maybe he builds on his relationship with Lucius, because in the Nolan movies, Lucius is the tech guy, right? that kind of helps him build all this stuff. So maybe
That would be a good way to use him here,
yeah,
and of course more bad vehicles always. I
of
guess
course, maybe get a
we
bike
need
in
a
there.
bad. Did he fly in this one?
I can't
He
remember.
didn't. He didn't fly,
No,
right? I don't think so.
no, we just
I,
saw the submarine
submarine in the car
in the
for
corner.
sure.
Yeah,
All right, so now we need a bike and then the plane.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then we can get like season 3. We're gonna start getting to like specialized costumes, just
Right,
fight
right.
special people
Space
and all those
costume.
type of things. I can't wait for them to go to space because I like the supernatural as the first like fourth wall breaking for him, and so like the first like honestly the first alien he sees and yeah Dark Side is so unfair.
Either way, I think it's very exciting. It's a great place for Batman to be, and I like that it wasn't a continuation of the previous series because again, a lot of previous Batman is Batman who's already established. He's been doing this for a while. He's the apex of his game, or it's an older Batman bringing in like Terry McGinnis from Batman Beyond.
The best.
Which is a great series, by the way. Anyway, on that note, what do you nerdies think of this series? How do you think it compares to previous Batman series? Where do you think it ranks in your Batman animated series list of shows? Find us on social media at The Nerdy Bunch, or you can email us at thenerdybunchpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Dave.
My name's English Dave, and this has been a Nerdy Bunch review for Batman Cape Crusader, which is streaming now on Prime Video. And as always, Andrew,
Keep it nerdy.
keep it nerdy, nerds. Peace.